Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Mad Hatter Radio, reporting live from an aging solar system in the Milky Way galaxy. In this go around, I want to talk about some celebrity news. Now, if you follow this channel, if you follow the things that I talk about, you know that I don't just talk about celebrity news just for the hell of it. I don't talk about it just to talk about gossip and things of that sort. I talk about it because I think that there are things that we can glean from this, and I think that it always leads to a deeper understanding, and always it leads to more questions. But I do want to kind of scrape beneath the surface a little bit as much as I can, so that's why I'm doing this so-called episode or podcast. Before I even get into this discussion about Asia Argento and Anthony Bourdain and this Me Too movement in Hollywood, I do want to talk about this lack of understanding that we have a lot in this internet culture. I think a lot of it is we do what we do for clicks. This is everybody. People's attention spans are shorter than ever. So a lot of the times, I think that we do things to get people's attention, which means that we speak in hyperbole and we take things to the extreme. And what that does is it actually creates a reality where people think that we all are this extreme society, this polarized society, and we are turning into that. But my thing is, like, everybody has a multitude of ideas. We're not going to agree 100% on everything, and even the things that we do agree on, we're not going to agree with all the way, with somebody else. So, there's this whole thing where, I was listening to this one guy on Secular Talk. I forgot his name. I think his name is Kyle Kalinske. But he just brought up a really interesting point about, in our culture, there's this thing against SJWs. I think a lot of people don't like SJWs for the most part. None of us do. But it's almost like anything that is pro SJW or can fit under that umbrella is inherently evil. And my thing is, like, look, I don't have a lot of SJW views, but at the same time, I understand some of those views that they have, and I think some of them are important. For instance, I think the Me Too movement is important. Now, are the people who've taken it to the extreme, are they making it better for everyone? Probably not. But that doesn't take away from the whole movement, I don't think. So I do want to, start that by saying that. And I don't understand why we can't be like, you know what? I don't agree with you on that point, but I agree with you on 75% of the other points. So, hey, let's leave it at that. But it's almost like if you disagree with somebody on one thing, even if you agree on 99% of the other things, we have to be enemies. I think we have to move away from that as a people. But anyway, getting back to this Anthony Bourdain situation, Asia Argento is obviously being accused of rape. She's being accused of raping a 17-year-old boy at the time when she was 37. She was a director of a movie and he was a cast member. I think he was a star of the movie. She's being sued because allegedly she had sex with him when he was 17. The age of consent in California is 18. So now she's going through a lot of different ways to defend herself. Now, one of those ways she's defending herself is by blaming Anthony Bourdain, who was her boyfriend at the time. We all know that Anthony Bourdain is the famous chef from New York City, who wrote the famous book. I can't think of the name right now, but basically talked about the world of chefs, the world of dining, the dining industry, and he made it big. And he had the great CNN show that a lot of us loved, really great episodes in that. He had an amazing episode with President Obama, a lot of great world leaders in there, a lot of entertainers, really good show. So we know him from that. So she is blaming him, Argento, who is the head of this movement, who I have never even heard of before, to be honest, or Rose McGowan. Interesting how they become head of the movement. But she is saying that Anthony Bourdain paid off this boy because she knew, both of them knew that the boy was dangerous. So they paid him off. That's what she's saying. My thing is, like, first off, can we talk about how bad this looks on your part? To start blaming your deceased boyfriend, he's been dead since June, not even 6 months, and you're already blaming him for this? Like, wow. That tells me a lot about your type of personality and what type of woman you are. And even if you did place, let's say that Anthony Bourdain did do this, that still doesn't take away from the rape allegations. And my thing is, like, another thing is, why are you going so far out of your way if you did nothing wrong to begin with. There's one thing where you can just say no, I refuse to believe these allegations, or these allegations are false. We will take this to court and we'll go from there. But to go out of your way and then start creating this narrative, apparently, that says a lot about her. And I think the big question that we all have is this: why Anthony Bourdain killed himself? Being such an influential figure, this would definitely ruin him. I mean, he was going down as a legend for all that he did, and then to see that he was doing some grimy stuff like this, if true, I mean, that's really grimy. And someone else said this, and it's so true. It's like, that made me lose a lot of respect for this guy. If he was really protecting himself, or protecting this woman who has then turned around and thrown you under the bus after you've died, ooh, man, that is not a good look. Just some other key points about this whole case. She was the director at the time of this incident, and the young man, the boy, was a cast member. I believe he could have been the main star of the movie. But this is where they had the close relationship, allegedly. So my thing is, like, this woman was going after Harvey Weinstein, and they both have something in common: power. I mean, really, what had to be going through her head for her to be going so hard after Harvey Weinstein? And the speech that she had, I can't remember if it was at the Grammys or where it was, but she was saying that, everybody, we know who the rapists are, and you know who you are. She was saying things like that, and it's like, wow, maybe she's bipolar, or maybe she's protected, or she thought she was protected in some way. But for her to really believe that just shows you how deep this power, this power hunger goes. It's deep. And kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, a lot of people are mad at her, which they should be, but they're saying that I guess they're assuming that this invalidates what Harvey Weinstein did. No, what Harvey Weinstein did to her was wrong, if true, and if what she did to this boy is true, that's also wrong. There can be two wrongs in these situations. It's not like just because she did that this invalidates everything else that's happened in the movement. Like, I don't understand why people don't get that. So overall, yeah, even though she did it wrong, she was wrong too. And this idea of thinking even takes me back to this whole idea of why the prison industrial complex in this country and in the some Western societies is messed up. And I do want to wrap this up really quick with this. There's this idea that if you've made one wrong in society, that you don't have any rights. There's these wildfires out in California, and firefighters are having to fight these fires, and they're pulling firefighters out from prison. Certain prisoners are fighting in these fires, and they're getting paid $2 an hour. And there's been articles and people obviously saying that, is this humane? And a lot of people obviously think that it is humane. They're like, hey man, well, you shouldn't have committed a crime. Well, first off, we do know there's a lot of people in prison who didn't commit a crime, who are put in there under the wrong circumstances. A lot of those people tend to be people of color also. But my thing is, like, isn't the reason why you're in jail is so that you are to right your wrongs and to feel justice? And once you've done your justice, then you move on and you can become a reasonable person of society who gives back. So why is it that if you've committed a crime that you have no rights? You know what I mean? That this way of thinking is bleeding into everything else in our society. I mean, a lot of people have done wrong and just haven't gotten caught. You know what I mean? So it's like we have to also look at who tends to get caught more than others, who tends to have more of a spotlight on them when they do wrong. So I don't know. It does kind of feel like this, where it's like this one person did one thing wrong, and because of that, we're going to ignore all the other great things that they've done in society. I think that we have to be more nuanced as human beings about these type of things. And that's kind of where I want to leave that. What do you guys think about this situation? How do you feel about where we are as a society, how we look at issues, how we look at human beings? And what do you think about this Anthony Bourdain, Asia Argento situation? I mean, is this normal for Hollywood? Is this something that is shocking to you? Because to me, it really is shocking just to see how vile I think people can be if these allegations are true. And it really goes to show that it's just a whole cesspool in Hollywood, and that thing is just a mess, and stay away from it if you can. So I want to leave that there. Thank you guys for taking a listen. Sorry this ran a little bit too long. I'm gonna try to shorten up my videos a little bit. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like, please. It really helps me out. Subscribe to this channel as well, and hit the notification button so you'll be notified when I upload more videos. And as always, stay woke.